Hi guys, this is the first video on the new channel, Central Man Sports. So I'm going to rate the England players in UEFA Euro 2024. This is my player ratings for England players in that tournament. I'm going to start with the goalkeeper position. I'm not going to rate Aaron Ramsdale and Dean Henderson because they didn't play, because they are the second and third string goalkeeper in that squad. So I'm going to start with Jordan Pickford. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Another good tournament for Pickford. This is his fourth tournament. Russia 2018, Euro 2021, because it was delayed due to the pandemic, Qatar 2022, and now this tournament, Euro 2024. I don't think he had any errors in those tournaments, He made good saves. Yeah, you get criticised because of his arms. He's a little bit too short to be a goalkeeper, but this is my opinion. I think Pickford is a underrated goalkeeper. His head's like high. He'll probably like leave this tournament on a high. I think he's still England number one. Yeah, you got competitions like Ramsdale and Henderson and Nick Pope, but yeah, he's only 30. He's same age as me. He's just underrated in my opinion. So anyway, let's move on to the defense. Um, Lewis Dunk is. I'm not gonna rate him because he barely played. What's the point picking him? Anyway, so I'm gonna start with the centre backs. I'm gonna start with probably John Stones. Probably three. Yeah, I'm gonna give him 3 out of 10. This is Stones' worst tournament. This is like his fourth. He was at Euro 2016, Russia 2018, Euro 2021, Qatar 2022, and now this tournament. This is his worst. I think he's not fit. I can tell. He got injured in the last warm up before the tournament against Iceland. It might be a lot of games he played for Man City, but I think it's just never recovered from the ankle injury. In some games he was like jittery, he's a bit not solid. Great example. In those two goals in the knockout stages against Slovakia and Switzerland, I blame him. And then in last night's game against Spain, I blame him for not like helping. I think it was Saka against stopping Cucurella, deny the Urisabal or marking Urisabal's second goal. Man, I think this is a sign that he's a bit coming to the end of his career, and he's also the same age as me. I'm 30. But yeah, I think this is his worst tournament. So let's move on to the next defender. You know, I say start with the centre backs, but I'm gonna call it starting. Still me in the defense, but same division, same position. But anyway, so we're gonna move on to his Manchester City teammate Kyle Walker. Three, very poor. I think this is probably his last tournament anyway because he's getting on. Yeah, he's got the pace, but he's 34. Very poor throughout the whole tournament. You know, it's just like I don't know, man. I think it's just age starting to catch up on him. He's a good right back, but I think he might play the World Cup in America, Canada, Mexico in 2026, but I think his England career is at an end. Anyway, let's move on to Kieran Trippier. I'm gonna give him three, two. No, I give him 3.5. It's not his fault because I think it has to do playing out of position because Luke Shaw got hurt. He was a left wing back. Left back, left wing back. He's mostly a right back. Back up to Kyle Walker. Like Kyle Walker, I think this is his last tournament. He's 34. He's an alright right back, Kieran Trippier. But yeah, I think it's him and Walker. I think it might be overplay, playing too much games, or maybe it's just age is starting to catch up on them. You know. Anyway, so let's move on to Mark Gahey. 7 out of 10. I think he's our best centre back in the tournament. This is his first major tournament for England, and he's done well. He was solid. Make good tackles, he's just like the guy is just a good centre back. I thought he was French, Gahey, but no, he's English. I could see him going to probably a big Premier League club after this tournament. Probably because he might go back to Chelsea. Because he's come from the Chelsea academy, but he was solid throughout the whole tournament. You know, I don't see him being in the team of the tournament, but he is a good centre back. He bust his ass to get. I think he's a good update from Harry Maguire. He's 23, and I could see him being in that starting line for England in the foreseeable future. Let's move on to Konsa. I'll give him a 5. He didn't play enough games, but against Switzerland in the quarterfinals of the tournament, he was solid. Wish he played more games. He should have played. I think should have played in the final. I think with Walker, man, he's not a centre back. He plays more. I think he's much better as a right wing back, but with Konsa, I think he was alright. He was a bit solid. I don't understand why he came off probably in the first half of extra time or the second half of extra time against Switzerland. But I can see him replacing Kyle Walker to be the next potential right back. Let's be honest. I'm not a big fan of Reece James. He's a bit prone to injury. And finally, let's move on to Luke Shaw. 6 out of 10. He played 3 games in this tournament. He was out, haven't played a game since February. He played in the I think it was the second. He played in the quarterfinals. I think it was the second half of the quarterfinals against Switzerland throughout the whole extra time. And he didn't really took a penalty, but he played in the second half of the semi-finals against the Dutch. I think he played the whole game against Spain. Good, in the Spain game, he was man of the match for us. He kept Lamine, Yamin Lamal quiet. I think he's a good left back, but the problem is he's just injury prone. I think he's probably the best left back since Ashley Cole. Let's be honest. So, anyway, that's the defense. Yeah, defense. I'm not gonna rate I'm not gonna rate Lewis Dunk because he barely played. Let's move on to the midfield. I'm gonna go with Kobbie Mainoo. First major tournament, 7 out of 10. In the game, in the game against Spain, he was a bit poor, but he, throughout the whole tournament, in the second half against Slovenia and beyond, he was good. I think he's the next foreseeable player. He's young. He's got potential. He goes forward. I think he's a bit against Spain. He's trying to stop players like Fabio Ruiz and Rodri. Unfortunately, you can't blame him. He'll get better. I think I could see him being not just in the Man United starting 11, but in England starting 11 for the foreseeable future. So let's move on to Declan Rice. 6.5, 5.5. I gave him 6.5. He didn't play badly, but he didn't play great. I think he played okay. Yeah, he played okay, man. I think I don't know. I think most of the time he's been quiet for his club and country. I don't say he's bad, but he's just very quiet. I don't know, man. The only mistake he had in this tournament was he set up because of the Xavi Simons goal in the semi-finals. He slipped. You know, he should have been more responsible for that. But besides that, didn't didn't have a foot wrong in this of this Euros, but he's not really like shined in this tournament. You know, I think he's got his head slightly a bit up for this tournament. You know, this is his second final in his career, and he lost. You know, even though he's won a trophy so far for his club, but I can see him being England's next captain. I think fame is really, it could be the price tag on his head, but I think fame is starting to get in his head. So go. I'm gonna go with Conor Gallagher next. So Conor Gallagher, I'm gonna probably yeah, I don't know, two. Very, I don't know. I don't know why Southgate picked him. Not good. Not good enough. I don't know why he's there. He's just, let's move on, man. Moving on to actually, Walton's not gonna get rate because he barely played. So, moving on to, yeah, I think that's it. I think I wrote most of it. Actually, Trent. Let's move on to Trent. Trent, two. It's not his fault. He's not a midfielder. I don't know why Southgate played him as a midfielder in those two games against Serbia and Denmark. He's just not. He's not a midfielder. I thought he was a midfielder, but he's more suited as a right wing back or right back. I don't know, man. It's just like probably his. This is his second tournament and third tournament. I can't remember. This is his worst, man. Let's move on to the attack players. So I'm not gonna rate Gordon and Bowen, barely played. I don't understand why. So let's talk about Jude Bellingham, man. I'll probably give him I'd give him 5 out of 10. It's a massive downgrade because he played good in the World Cup in Qatar, but in this tournament, he's been average. He's I like the overhead kick against Slovakia. Since then, he scored against Serbia in our opening game against in the groups in the Euros. He has some moments, Jude, but besides that, he's a bit okay. Must be the amount of games he's played. Despite his first season in Madrid, he's won a La Liga and the Champions League. He'll get better. He'll get good. He's got like a good manager in Ancelotti. He needs to step up his A game. I think fame is starting to get in his head a little bit. But besides that, he's not terrible, but not great. He's had an okay tournament. So moving on to Phil Foden, poor, absolutely poor. Maybe it has to do of Southgate's positions. He's in the first in the group stage and in the knockout game against in the knockout rounds against Slovakia. He plays mostly on the wings, and then ever since he's dropped into the number 10 role in the middle, playing in the middle. Against the Dutch he played all right, but no, in his third tournament this is his worst. I don't know, man. I think I think Foden, in my opinion, is a bit overrated. If you play like this against Man City, he'll probably get sold. But besides that, should do a lot better. Let's move on to the next the next midfielder, the next attacking players, forwards, whatever you call it. Eze, 4. No, I'll give him 5. Barely played. I'm not gonna. Let's move on. Can't really explain why I give it that rating. He's barely played. Got Eze. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's move on to the yeah, I think that's it. Actually, no, Saka. Let's rate Bukayo Saka. Saka. I don't know. I give him 4. 5. I give him 5.5, man. Average, probably his weakest tournament so far. This is his third tournament. Euro 2021. Qatar 2022, and now this tournament, poor. You know, despite the equaliser going in Switzerland, he's a bit quiet, very poor out his position. You know, I don't know. He's not a defender. He's just, I don't know, man. It might be position, might be tactics wise. You know, he's a good player, Saka. I think Fane's starting to get in his head. Fane's got in his head a little bit alongside with Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham. But besides that, man, you know, he's all right. He had a very weak tournament. You know, he'll get better. You know, he's got plenty of tournaments ahead of him. You know, he's only what was that 22, 23? You know, he'll get better. You know, hope he won't get declined. Hope he's, you know, I think Arteta, you know, just like keep overplaying him. That could be the reason why he's like flat. You know, his performance is getting flatter. But yeah, let's move on to the strikers. You know, I'm gonna go with Harry Kane, the captain. One, actually, I give him two. This is Kane's worst tournament since Euro 2016. Oh, actually, this is his worst tournament. Actually, you know, in Euro 2016, you know, he's playing taking set pieces, you know, corners and free kicks. That has to do with Roy Hodgson's tactics. But this tournament, yeah, he was dropping down, non-existent. You know, he scored what 3 goals. You know, I don't know. He technically won the Golden Boot. You know, with other players. You know. But besides that, you know, most games he was non-existent. You know, I think he picked up an injury. I think he had a back injury. You know, he's overweight. You know, but I think my thoughts that he's going to be in the same position as Wayne Rooney. You know, I think he's getting the end of his career. I feel sorry for him. You know, this is what his 6th final, and he's never won one. It's a shame. He's a good player, man. He needs to win the tournament, or actually, he needs to win a trophy. You know, he spent most of his time at Tottenham. So far in his first season in Germany with Bayern Munich, he's won nothing. You know, and in this tournament in Germany, he's still haven't won a trophy. You know, I think he's cursed or something. You know, I don't know, man. This is his worst tournament. You know, I think his best tournament so far in his England career was against Russia 2018 when he won the Golden Boot. But since then, his performance in tournaments kind of dropping off. You know, if I rate his tournaments, you know, this tournament's in his worst. His, you Russia 2018 his best. I'm gonna say Euro 2021 his second best. I think his performance in Qatar in the middle, but I can see him playing in the next World Cup in 2 years' time. That will probably be his last. You know, I think he's on his last legs. He's getting slower. You know, very poor man. So anyway, let's move on to Ivan Toney. I give him a 5 out of 10. You know, barely played. He set up the Hurricane winner against Slovakia in extra time in the Euros knockout stage in the last 16. Since then, yeah, he scored a good penalty in the penalty shootout win against the Swiss. But since then, in the game against in the Spanish, you know, he came on very late. I think there's plenty of tournaments ahead of him. You know, he's he's a good player, to Ivan Toney, man. I can see him being in the England starting 11 in the foreseeable future because Harry Kane haven't got long left in his career. Tony's about 27, 28. You know, he's more fit. He's faster. You know, I can see him leave. He needs to leave Brentford, to be honest, man. To go to a big club, I can see him going to Chelsea or Liverpool. You know, he's got potential to win some trophies if he goes to a big Premier League club. Anyway, the final player. Actually two. I'm lying. Let's talk about Cole Palmer. I forgot about him. Yeah, Cole Palmer. I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10. First good tournament for him. Set up the Ollie Watkins goal in the semi-finals against the Dutch. He scored that cracker against the Spaniards last night. You know, I think he's another young player. I could see him being he's a will beater. He's just like gifted. He's so gifted, man. I think should have played. He should have been starting. He should have started in like throughout this whole tournament. Foden is he's better than Foden throughout this tournament. I think if he's like played in those games, I think we'll probably smash teams and probably get something out against the Spaniards. But it's only his first tournament. He'll get better. He'll be good. You know, I can see him going back to Man City in the foreseeable future. If Chelsea fail to win trophies in his time at Chelsea. Anyway, so let's move on to the final player I'm gonna rate is Ollie Watkins. 6 out of 10. Barely played. He scored that winning goal against the Dutch. To get us into the final. But besides that, like Tony, he's got player tournaments ahead of him. Is it about 25, 26, 27? He's very quick. I wish he play more. It's just what it is, man. I can see Watkins and Tony being a good partnership. In future tournaments. The World Cup in America, Canada, Mexico, and the next Euros in the UK. He's just he's a good gifted player. So let's move on to the final manager. Let's move on to the manager. Rate the manager, Gareth Southgate. 5. I think this is his weak tournament, and this probably be his last one. Because Russia 2018. Why I'm holding a brush, a paintbrush. But anyway, so this is his 4th tournament so far. Russia 2018, Euro 2021, Qatar 2022. And this tournament, this is his weakest. His best has to be the first 2 best tournaments. Has to be the first 2 tournaments: Russia 2018 and Euro 2021. I play Qatar 2022. It's a drop off. Now this, I think his tactics of don't get me wrong, he got England to semi-finals and finals. But I think I think it's time to leave. Give someone else a crack. So yeah, that's my ratings for England players and the manager of Euro 2024. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. What's your player ratings of the England players? Subscribe to the main channel, Central Man Network, and subscribe to this channel, Central Man Sports, for more football videos and probably some other sporting videos to come. So yeah, this is the Central Man official sign out. Check you later. I'm out.